Representative Newbury.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm always a little bit suspect every year. Every year we have things that seem to go out to bond, and I think a big part of our state's long-term problem is all of our bonded debt. But that aside, sometimes things are worth bonding out. When it comes to the University of Rhode Island, I've often voted in favor of bonds. The engineering school, for example, I thought was a good investment. I voted for that when we passed that. I have a daughter who just graduated college. She went to an out-of-state state university. It was cheaper than URI. It had programs she wanted too. That's not the only reason she went there, but it was cheaper than URI. I have a son at another out-of-state state university, which is also cheaper than URI. These are out-of-state. Now, they got in-state residency after a few years, but my point is, our public university system is already expensive. College tuition in this country is a disgrace. It's a much bigger topic for another day. I'm looking at what we're doing here, and I'm reading the description in the article. For example, the student union renovations. The university believes the Memorial Union celebrates life at URI and acts as the reason for campus community, student engagement, and leadership. Goes on, talks how the student union at the university is an integral part of the educational ecosystem that shapes the student experience. You know, that's great. My mother went to Southern Connecticut State University. Her tuition was $50 per semester. I don't think they had something that shaped their educational ecosystem, but you know what she didn't have? She didn't have any student debt. I went back to my own college a few years ago, and the gym that I used to use, which was built, I don't know, in the 50s, had been converted into something that would make a country club blush. Our colleges in general are becoming like country clubs in the facilities they give to students, and I think they're losing their educational mission. I don't have any problem with spending money on URI for its educational mission, for its core educational mission. But our professors should probably be paid more. There should probably be better classroom instruction. The engineering school was a good thing. But I am not going to vote to put the state further in debt for things that are nice. I'm not saying these are bad things, but are they necessary to educate our students? There's a reason why tuition in this country is as high as it is. There's several reasons, but one of them is that these colleges are just full of amenities and things like this that are not really necessary to the core educational value. And for that, I'm not going to vote to put the state in further debt. Thank you.
Representative Fogarty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support, and I also like to be noted as seconding this. If you've been down to the University of Rhode Island, which I'm down there frequently, this particular center needs an update. It's drastically in need of it. It's just very, very old and tired, and unfortunately, there is competition from universities. My kids chose not to go to the University of Rhode Island because it was a half mile from where we lived, and when they went to kindergarten. And we went to a lot of other schools that were vying to get these children, and competition is tighter for students these days. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. And so URI is also just trying to keep the competition going. And I think I'm singing to the choir when I'm telling you that. And that's what it needs. This university, that particular building looks like it's very much in the 70s. They have a new nice meal hall, but the center of it is terrible. The fraternity circle is it's atrocious after all these different years. It's already somewhat under construction right now, and it can only improve. And it is our flagship university, and it's worth making it look like $1 million for competition to have students come here to the University of Rhode Island. Thank you.
Representative Tanzi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too want to address the improvements that are proposed for URI, and specifically the project that would allow for a new combined health and counseling center. I think it is easy to say they are becoming country clubs, they are becoming upscale hotels. But I think that these projects are incredibly important, as Rep. Fogarty had just said, to attract students. It's a competitive place, college, and the college system here. But for this health and counseling center, in speaking to the individuals at URI who are putting forward this proposition, this would combine both the physical health and the mental health into one area I think that students, for whatever reason, I know that students these days are experiencing more and more stress. We're having increases in the number of people who are seeking psychological help, counseling, and blending these two facilities into one is of critical importance to show that treating the mind the same as the body is just as important. And I think it removes a lot of the stigma, and I know that that's the motivation behind bringing those two resources into one. And showing that we should have parity between mental and physical health. This is literally going to be a physical embodiment of that the university takes both of these equally seriously. And I support the project, and I support this particular budget article. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative McEntee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise in strong support of this article. I would also like to be recorded as a second on this article, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered.
As a URI alum and a representative from South Kingstown, I strongly support this. I don't know if any of you have been to Fraternity Circle lately. It is run down. And if you read what they plan on doing there to the infrastructure, it needs it as well. Also, the Memorial Union is used daily by thousands of students. It too could use improvement. So let's remember, this is our flagship university. They have done so much for the state. They put themselves on the map. And I say to you, their slogan, think big, we do. Let's do it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.